Hey Jamstrong, I am here to do our Spark message for the week, and I am going to make this super fast. So, if you read the title of the message, it's Full Hearts, Clear Eyes, Can't Lose, and you might recognize that from Friday Night Lights. If you are not a fan of Friday Night Lights or you have not seen the show, then shame on you is all I have to say. You might want to check that show out because it's kind of the best of all time. I shamelessly am stealing today's topic from the sermon that I heard in church today. It spoke to me and it seemed like a really clear, easy message for me to pass on to you. And I'm going to try to find a way to make it related to our businesses. And also to make it relatable, even if you're not a Christian or a believer in God. Just going to try to make it applicable to as many situations as possible. So, in talking about having full hearts, and if you know Friday Night Lights, you'll know that the saying is actually clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. But for the purposes of the sermon and for the purposes of my message today, we're switching it to full hearts, clear eyes, can't lose. So what does full hearts refer to? Well, full hearts is talking about our dreams, our hopes, our expectations. What is it we want out of life? What is your heart full of? The illustration that the pastor used in the sermon was his son, and he talked about how his son's heart is full of screen time. And that totally spoke to me because my son's heart is full of screen time. Like, that's all he wants. As soon as he gets up in the morning, he asks to watch TV or he asks to play on his tablet. He asks how long he's going to get to. He asks when he's going to get to. It's just the thing that he wants most. And so his heart is full of it. And so he's always thinking about it, talking about it, looking for it. So in thinking about our full hearts, what is it that we are wanting? What is our heart full of? Now, this is kind of the big picture stuff of, what are we really trying to get out of life? And therefore, what are we trying to get out of what are we pursuing in our Jamberry businesses, for example, but also our family life, our life with our friends. Just how does it all come together to fit towards the life that we want? What are our hearts full of? And so that's something that we should always be thinking about. What is it that we really want? If you are a believer in God, where is your heart in relationship to Him? And where is your heart in relationship to wanting to pursue a life that is pleasing and honoring to Him? If you're not a believer, what is it that you're doing in life to pursue living a life of goodness or a life of kindness? What are you doing to contribute to society, to make the world a better place, to achieve great things, or be a good example to your children or your community? Just thinking about both in the context of your Jamberry business, but also your whole life. What is your heart full of? What do you want your heart to be full of? So that's just the first thing to ponder. Specifically with our business, your heart might be full of a certain income that you need to support your family, or your heart might be full of a certain rank that you want to reach as a sense of accomplishment, or your heart might be full of wanting to serve people and give away a certain amount of money every month through your Jamberry income. There's lots of different things that your heart can want, and it's not bad to want those things. Money isn't bad in and of itself. Ambition isn't bad in and of itself. But thinking about why do you want those things? What is the bigger picture that it's pointing towards? Whether it's a dollar figure, whether it's a certain rank, whether it's a certain because of Jamberry story that you want to be able to tell, a trip you want to take, or a car you want to buy, or a charity you want to donate to. Just think about that and articulate that for yourself. And also think about what's the bigger picture that it's pointing towards. And that's kind of where clear eyes comes in, the second part of the phrase. So we have full hearts and clear eyes. Clear eyes is about looking with honesty at what it is your heart is full of. And there's a couple of different aspects to what I mean by that. First of all, looking with honesty. Now I have mascara. Sorry. First of all, it means looking with honesty at whether or not what your heart is full of is really the right thing. You know, are you pursuing what it is you really want? Are you pursuing something that's actually good for you, that's actually good for your family, that's actually good for your community, that's actually in line with your beliefs and your ethics and your morals? But also having clear eyes about, is your life lining up with what it is your heart wants? You know, if your heart wants X, but everything you do takes you towards Y, that doesn't make any sense. So having clear eyes both about being honest with what it is you really want, being honest, taking an honest look at your life and saying, does it match up with what I want? And having clear eyes about whether or not what you actually want is a realistic goal or not. Is it something that you're actually going to be able to get? I don't mean not having hopes and dreams that are possibly, you know, stretch for you to reach, but just clear eyes is just about being honest in every aspect of what your heart is full of. And then the last part of it is can't lose. And I think what this is really saying with regard to our Jamberry businesses is that, I'm sorry, the mascara is driving me crazy. Okay. So can't lose doesn't mean that you can't lose in life. You know, you might have it as your goal to become an elite executive someday. And the fact of the matter is that might not happen. Sometimes we do lose in life. Sometimes we don't get what we wanted. Sometimes we don't get what we asked for or what we worked for or what we hoped for. You know, we don't know how many days we even have on this earth, let alone what's going to happen in them. So what does it mean to say that we can't lose? Well, as a Christian or a believer in God, you believe that there is more to this life than our hopes and dreams for this life. And those hopes and dreams for this life are fine and good, but we know that there's more beyond it. And that, in the Christian tradition, it just says that, God tells us that we will, if we follow him, we'll have everything we wanted and more when he returns or when he brings us to heaven. So we know that we can't lose because love wins in the end. But even whether you're a believer or not a believer, I think that you can approach life and approach your goals in such a way that if you live in a state of gratitude for whatever comes your way, if you live in a state of rolling with life as it comes, if you live in a state of pursuing the bigger picture and not just the smaller goals, I mean, in a way, so using the example of becoming an elite executive, that's a huge goal in terms of task. Like getting that size of a team and making that amount of money is a huge goal. But in terms of the big picture of life, I wouldn't call that a huge goal. I mean, big pictures of life are things like becoming the kind of person that changes the world, or becoming the kind of mother or spouse or friend that really changes people's lives. Like those are big picture goals in my view. And the journey, I'm going to start sounding all like Zen Buddhist or whatever, but for those kinds of big picture goals of like being loving and being kind and being generous and making an impact in the world, the journey is really more important than the result. Whether you become an elite executive or not, whether you ever go on that vacation or you don't, whether you end up a millionaire or you end up broke, pursuing the big picture desires of our hearts of being loving or being a good community member or whatever it may be. I really feel like if you live a life of gratitude and you live a life of generosity and you live according to your deepest desires for good, that you can't really lose in the end. Life may not turn out the way you want it to be. Life may have a lot of hard things in store for you. In fact, it probably will. But you can't lose in the sense that on the journey, it was all worth it, and good things can happen along the way. So how does that fit with your Jamberry business? Well, not to make it too small, because we're talking about big things, but if your Jamberry journey is up and down in terms of income or up and down in terms of rank, enjoy the process. Be thankful for whatever money you do make. Be thankful for the hostesses and the customers that you do have. Make the most of what is happening here and now, even if you're in a hard time, even if things are not doing well, even if things are not turning out the way you wanted them to. It all could be leading towards something even better than you expected. And who knows what this part of your journey has in store for the rest of your life. For some people, Jamberry is going to be a long-term forever thing. For some people, it's going to be a stop along the way. There's just lots of, you just don't know, but you make the most of it while you can, and you have gratitude along the way and a positive attitude. And I feel like if you live that way, then you can't lose. So I hope that made sense. The tough thing about using Periscope is that if I mess up, or start having mascara problems, then you just get to see the raw me. But that's actually kind of the cool part about it too. So anyway, I hope that helps. Oops, I just hit my lamp. So full hearts, clear eyes, can't lose. And let's think about that this month. And I would love to hear some feedback from you about whether or not this made sense to you, or if you thought it was a bunch of nonsense. But it speaks to me, and hopefully it'll help some of you. So have a great Sunday evening and a great week and a great beginning to the month of May.